How's it going, everyone? Good.
We starting?
I guess. Or no, we let it roll last time, so. Okay.
So for the first 15 minutes of our podcast, we're just gonna sit and stare at you guys.
Oh,
Just-
Jesus.
Just have that nice awkward pause.
Yeah. Awkward pause, gathering your thoughts. So, today I was driving here this morning and thinking about. We had some topics we wanted to cover, but I think that, we did an introduction last time, but we haven't really gotten into who we are, interviewing, so I'm this time I'm gonna interview Patrick, ask him some questions,
And I'm gonna give as best I can the most shit answers
most shit answers
possible.
So yeah, first off, where did you grow up?
Well, so I grew up in rural Michigan, in a little bit northeast of South Haven, and a small little town called Pullman. And there's maybe I don't know, a couple thousand people probably in the town.
It's a small town.
Very very small town. One stoplight, middle of the town. There's one gas there. There's now two gas stations. So
Two gas stations
we're
going up in the world.
going up in a Dollar General. We can't forget about the Dollar General. So, so that's kind of where I grew up. And no, come on down, babe. It's all good.
Can't forget the water, since he's gonna be.
What is it? What is
talking
coffee again? Negev or something?
Café.
Gaffier. Gaffier. Gaffier.
Cheers.
Skull. No alcohol in this though. Just coffee.
Okay, so what was your childhood like?
Brutal.
Brutal.
Just straight brutal. No, it was good. I actually really enjoyed my childhood. I grew up around a 7th Avenue kind of compound. That's called Oak Haven, and I had a lot of good memories there. A lot of good people, good friends, and spent most of my time riding bicycles and taking jumps on motorcycles and 4-wheelers. Not as much motorcycles, more 4-wheelers, spent most of my childhood probably in the woods, just messing around, playing with fire, playing with different things, building jumps, hurting myself, that kind of stuff. I was homeschooled, so I didn't go to whatever preschool, middle school, high school, none of that stuff. So when people talk about grades versus how old you are, that just goes right over my fucking head. So, but yeah, it was good.
So, is there any memories that really stuck out for you, either something said or an experience that happened that made a big impact on your life?
Formative memories.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say most of my formative memories were probably, in church, and it's interesting because it's like I think for the first I don't know 16, 17 years of my life, there's not a lot that sticks out to me as far as something that happened that changed drastically my life, or path that diverged or something like that. But I did have some formative experiences, but in regards to what, I'm not really sure.
Just a memory that just if you think about your childhood, it doesn't even have to be significant, just an experience that you just recalled. It felt like maybe
becoming aware of the world, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I would have to probably go back to the church because it's like I think. Let me think for a second.
Okay.
I would say probably, around 10 or 11, I started to get really kind of into that more awareness where you're thinking about, well, why are we here? What does this all mean? Those kind of questions started to rise in me, and I think that's probably the point where I started to be interested in the world, and try to figure out what we're doing here, why we're here, why does it make sense? Like, what's the point of it all? And that was probably 10 or 11. And I think a lot of that had to do with the sermons that I heard at church. And I think, probably 10 to 16, 17 was kind of questioning the church, questioning ideologies in the church, questioning why we're here. I was very depressed for a while. From, I don't know, for a lot of my teenagers, I was pretty depressed because I felt like nothing mattered. Like, there wasn't a point to anything. And but yeah, nothing like major sticks out to me. I'm sure that the memories will come back to me as far as we're talking about specific things, but just generally, I mean, my gig was just, wake up, hang out, go outside, chill, like, play around, bikes, four-wheeling. I played video games sometimes. Not a ton, but
What was your favorite video game growing up?
probably like Medal of Honor.
Medal of Honor.
You remember that?
I played that. That
Yeah.
was sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
good,
was a cool game.
good stuff. You gotta go after the Nazis.
The Nazis.
The Nazis.
Nice.
And had some undercover missions in the Soviet Union. I'm pretty sure I remember. And I think sniping was my favorite part about all of it. And they had like the medal. You remember like the Medal of Honor expansion pack or whatever, where it had like all the discs.
I don't. I think I didn't get to play it a lot. But I remember like here and there because I wasn't really allowed to play video games that much.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, same. Actually, I think my first video game was Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Oh, my little sister loves that game.
Yeah, dude, I love that. Actually, let me think about this. Actually, let's go back in time, because I think actually the first my dad had a IBM computer way back when, and it had floppy disk drives. And I actually, so the first, I said Roller Coaster Tycoon because maybe that was like one of my more formative games, but the very first game I think I played was Oregon Trail.
Oregon Trail, dude.
Yeah.
Played a lot of that in grade school.
Yeah, and pretty much all I did was like, I liked most of the game, but specifically I spent most of my time hunting. so and then so then that was floppy drives, and I think we had a couple other games, but I didn't really. It was pretty much just Oregon Trail for me.
Yeah.
And then it was probably Roller Coaster Tycoon, and they actually had the like cereal boxes that you could get, and they had the little whatever code where you could snip out, and if you had so many of these little cereal box cutouts that you could save them up, and then you could send away. And so I saved them up and I sent away for Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So that took me a while, and a lot of like pestering my mom to buy like particular cereal types.
Yeah, they got you.
Yeah. So they got me, and they got
That's
my mom through me. So, but yeah, Roller Coaster Tycoon was dope, and and then from there I think I played like Monopoly on the computer. Risk was really dope. That was a good game. And but yeah, I mean, honestly, most of my childhood was just, I think, doing fun things. I really didn't do much schoolwork. My mom tried as she might to to cajole me into paying attention or caring. But I think since I was homeschooled and since I was, live primarily in the woods, like my mom would be like, you need to do your timetables. And I'd be like, see ya. I'd be like out the door and she'd be like, oh, well, I got other things to do. And so she'd do this and she'd get mad at me. But like, yeah, I don't know. And then I think probably around like 17 to 18, I got to the point where I was like, oh, like, I'm going to actually have to enter the real world unless I just want to like stay at home with my parents like for the rest of my life, which doesn't sound appealing. Not that my parents aren't awesome, but yeah, that's, I guess, for the most part. And, I'll bring out memories as time goes on if something comes up, but I can't think of something specifically that is really formative. I mean,
okay.
Yeah.
So, let's see here. So like schooling, so like you didn't go the regular route, the traditional route, going to school, homeschooling. So you were homeschooled, but you ended up not actually doing a lot of homeschooling. So
dude, I don't think I did. Like, if you compared like someone that goes to regular school and someone that is homeschooled, and then me, I probably did like 20%.
20%.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I did as little as humanly possible.
I remember when we were at camp meeting. It's like a really large religious gathering, and it was something to do with like I was like asking you about some schooling. Like I have no idea.
Yep. Well, I mean that's like when I eventually did. I eventually did around 16, 17. Well, I got my license, started driving.
Any cool stories with driving?
Yeah, there's a couple. There's a couple. I mean, I was into drifting and stuff, but
how were you like? What was your interaction with authority? How did you feel about authority?
I still don't like authority, and I feel like it's something that I should be cool with now that I'm an adult. But like I feel like I've just never. I think part of it is I think because I didn't go through high school, I didn't go through the normal process. I think it's part of it. I think I had a high level awareness when I was younger, and this is just self-prescribed. I have, I'm sure there's a lot of people that would disagree with me, but like going through all the experiences that I had when I was younger, I didn't have a lot of interaction with other adults when I was younger. So I didn't have any I wasn't put in those situations where I had to learn any skills in relation to working with somebody that is quote unquote above me or in charge of me. So, because my perception of it is if you're in middle school or high school or whatever, you have all these teachers that are all in charge of you, and you have to develop certain skills in order to interpersonal communication skills and abilities to interact with them and mesh well with them and accomplish things. And I never had that. So I think that's part of it. Obviously I had my parents, and I think they were good parents, and that my mom was fairly strict on a lot of things, like the Bible. She hammered the Bible, and morality. She hammered morality into me. And I think for the most part, that's probably why I'm not a complete piece of shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So do you think, I know at least for me, growing up, Seventh-day Adventist, we both grew up Seventh-day Adventist.
Yeah.
One of the main reasons why I've had not a problem with authority, I was a rule follower, but religion, in a sense, I felt this is they like to control you. And I know that's growing up, you've got adults that you're not grown up, but there's things that just didn't make sense. So do you think that had an impact on the way that you view authority?
Yeah, I think from a very young age, and I think actually it stems from my dad. He has a very critical mind. And I mean, critical mind is when you go to college, they're always trying to hammer into critical thinking. I feel like I always had that. And that's not necessarily a pat on my back. I feel like I've always had that, to where I'm always questioning and I'm not taking everything at face value all the time. So like, you talked about formative memories earlier, but like, so one of my formative, I guess, and like I said, memories come out, but like I feel like one of my formative memories in the church was getting into a discussion, a debate with a youth pastor when I was younger. I don't even remember. I was probably like 14 or so, about ties.
Ties, yeah.
And well, not actually, he wasn't talking about ties. He was talking about necklaces. And like,
and wristbands
and stuff like that, because I would wear a necklace every once in a while. I'd wear a wristband every once in a while. And he was saying like that they're it's not allowed, you shouldn't be wearing them. And he said, and I said, well, okay, what about your tie? Why do you need to wear your tie? what functionality does a tie do?
Yeah.
What purpose is it for? And he was like, well, it brings my suit together. It's a fashion thing. It brings my suit together. And I'm like, yeah, same with my necklace. So that was like, kind of an early thing. And I felt like, I've always been kind of like a little bit, I feel like, disrespectful too, so that didn't help me. But I felt like, gotcha, bitch.
Gotcha.
Because it's like, yeah, ties and necklaces, same thing.
Yeah. And they'll come up with, like, I've heard so many reasons, like tattoos. Tattoos are like, I think in the Bible it says don't mark your Bible or your body.
Yeah.
I think there's actually something in the Bible where God put like jewelry and on this girl and like tattooed her skin with something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in the Bible. But if someone was to look at that in the church, it was a spiritual reference or something. I'm like, some of the things just didn't make sense. I mean, tattoos, for instance.
Yeah.
You could like kind of argue that tattoos are bad for your skin, or so, like having ink in your skin.
Yeah.
I think there's actual scientific data for it, and also you can get like diseases if someone's not being like, if a tattoo artist is not taking their job seriously, disinfecting everything.
Yeah. So disinfecting their needles and whatnot. Yeah.
But I think tattoos are cool.
I think they're.
I haven't gotten any, but
same. I haven't gotten any, and I think they're cool. They're cool to look at. I don't, obviously there's tasteful tattoos and tattoos that are not so tasteful.
Some of them are like, what?
Right.
What's going on here?
Some it has you questioning people's brains and where they're at. But yeah, like I actually I'm not super pro tattoos. Like I've never got a tattoo. I've thought about it just kind of like in passing, just because I see a lot of people do it in the culture we're in. But I just can't think of anything that I'd want like permanently on my body. And I know that's kind of like a cliche statement, but like, yeah, it's true. And it's like jobs, employment. It's like, especially like the people that have these face tattoos.
Yeah.
Say, really?
I have seen some people that have had them, and they just have like these personalities, like they don't care. But it can be a sketchy road to go down. Yeah. But anyways, going back to the tie thing. That just my
tattoos, ties,
tattoos.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And so and then it was constantly like, I feel like a lot of the things growing up in the church. I actually like, I don't want to dog too much on the church or religion, because I had so many positive experiences as well. And I feel like if I didn't grow up in the church, I wouldn't feel like I had a community. And I definitely felt like I had tons of adults around me that cared about me other than my parents, which was super positive for me, because I felt like the world was a super loving place when I was growing up. And like, I wasn't afraid to interact with people. I mean, maybe I was a little bit, but like for the most part, I think that if I grew up in a home that didn't have that, I would be way worse off. Way worse off. I think that community is it doesn't have to be religious, but I think that community where you have numerous other adults that care about you, that actually care about you. Now, whether they actually did it or not, I don't know. But like, it felt like that to me, because I was in the church, and it felt like I had other people looking after me and caring about me and caring about my well-being, caring about my future. Like that was super positive. I think it's just like as far as like authority, I think it was just like the you can't do this, and then me questioning it, and then them not really giving a real solid answer as to why. And so I was just like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. So that was kind of like a formative year. And I've had many discussions with pastors before with things in the church and the Bible that didn't really make sense to me. I've always been kind of weird, like made me think of like Alex Jones when he's like, I'm kind of retarded. No, but I've always been kind of weird where it's like, like in the church, like when I was little, like, I don't know, 12 or 13, I saw a lot of my peers get baptized, and I was like sitting there watching that, and I was like,
yeah,
they're not there.
Yeah, I was one of them.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, I was like sitting there going, they're not doing this because of them.
Yeah.
They're doing this because of their parents. They're doing this because of their pastor, and they just feel like, oh, well, here we go.
I genuinely wanted to do what was right, I think, when I got baptized, but there was definitely, like, you got massive social approval for doing it. So there was that. So, like, there is part of, but you're a kid in a sense, and kids want approval. They, like, and sometimes they'll do something that they haven't even thought about. Like, they're not adults, so it's they're not really thinking for themselves.
Yeah,
so
and I think that's what like differentiated me a little bit. It was because I felt like, you got approval, but I felt like it wasn't approval for me being me. It was approval for something that's me deciding to do something that wasn't really in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Because even when I was younger, watching other people get baptized, I mean, I didn't love God. I didn't even know what that meant.
Yeah.
To like love God. And I'm still working on that concept of what it means to actually love God. Mm-hmm. And so in interacting with my peers, I realized that most of them also didn't love God or even know what that meant. So I just thought they're just being fake, and they're getting approval for being fake. And I'm not saying that unilaterally across the board.
Yeah.
I think there was definitely, I did see kids that actually genuinely, I felt like that fit them, and they got baptized, and they continued on that path, and they're happy. But I felt like for most of my peers that I hung out with, I don't actually felt like they felt it in the heart. Because they would go get baptized, and then we'd be talking crap that's not, not at all heavenly oriented or like
the standards of like the people around would expect,
Yeah, it's like you get baptized and then you go right out and you talk about,
But then you're judging people.
Yeah. I was that was a big fault of mine when I was younger. I was a huge judger.
Well, the problem is it's you got these people that are like, they're judging, they're doing this thing to hold themselves to a higher standard, but then nothing changes.
Yeah. And
then that's just disingenuous. So it is kind of judging, but in a sense, it's, then it's just an excuse. Well, I'm only human and I'm a sinner. And I've seen that a lot, where it's, you get, it's like an excuse to just not grow. And I've just seen that so much.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, well, and I think there's also like, there's a difference between, I think there was, and maybe I'm restating what I already said, but I feel like there was a group of people, young people our age when we were younger, and maybe you fell into this bucket, maybe not. And I think this is coming from my perspective, judging, but like, I felt like there was a section of people that just did it to kind of get their parents off their back, just to maybe get that approval and just be like, oh, I'm good, blah 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 blah. But then
I actually don't blame them. I think that's kind of smart.
It is kind of smart.
Yeah.
It is for sure. And but it's fake.
Yeah,
it's super fake.
Well, maybe they're just being.
You were fake, Jacob. Is what
fake.
I'm trying. No, I'm kidding.
Well, yeah. I didn't believe certain things. Like certain things just didn't make sense. It's like the only thing you can do on the Sabbath is take a nap
Yes.
and read the Bible. And
which is great if you're
yeah.
if you're old and tired.
And tired.
Of the
You should
week.
get moving. You should have gotten moving because once you stop moving, then you die. Take like your muscles. I was actually just reading something. Your heart pumps your blood somewhat, like does a lot of work pumping your blood through your body, but actually moving your muscles, being active, that's what like takes. I'm probably butchering this, but without exercise, your blood flow just decreases. That's why, like, I'm not a doctor, but I mean, it's kind of like obvious. Like, I mean, we're in the trucking industry, and a lot of truckers, if you go and have heart issues. So that's definitely something we need to be aware of. Which we're gonna go snowboarding tomorrow.
We are. We're gonna get that exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's definitely actually something that I've actually felt, which is like, I've been trucking for a year, and I felt like, I already had prior issues due to some health conditions with my heart. So I felt like it has not helped at all.
Yeah.
Trucking. I feel like my heart is a lot weaker. Like we're gonna go snowboarding tomorrow, but like I went snowboarding a couple weekends ago, and like I was like gassed.
Yeah.
4 hours in, I was kind of gassed, and so it's definitely, if you're gonna do trucking, you definitely want to outside of that workout, and if you can work out every day while you're trucking, which is all like super hard.
And with that, I know that we should go back to you.
Yeah.
We kind of went off on a tangent, but I did want to say one thing that is good. I don't know if it was Tim Ferriss, but someone I saw this morning. It's like, instead of like saying, "Oh, I'm gonna go for an hour walk today," if you're not going for a walk, that in your mind that's like an excuse to not do it. Just go, "I'm gonna take a 5-minute walk." Set those low expectations.
Yeah.
Just to get yourself to do it if you're not doing it.
Yeah.
And like be consistent with it, and then, but I'm talking myself because like this is something I need to work on.
Yeah.
Well.
It's like setting that low bar, and then you go walking for 5, and you're like, I could go for 5 more, and then you're like, I could go for 20 more, and then you end up walking for an hour.
With me, my brain is such a jerk. It's like, okay, I'm just gonna do one push-up, and then like I know I'm gonna do more than that, and I don't feel like doing more than that. So It's like, and then I'm like, well, actually, screw that mentality. I'm just gonna do one, and then, okay, I did 16. I don't have to get to 20 just to get myself to do it. It's kind of weird psychology there.
Battling with the brain.
Battling with your own brain.
Your own psychology.
Yeah. But anyways, going back to...
back to me.
Get back to you.
Yeah, let's talk about me more.
I need to work on my interview skills. So, so like school.
Yeah.
So, did you go to high school, or did you end up taking your GED?
Yeah. So I didn't go to high school. I really that's I mean, a lot of people say no regrets in life, but I think if you don't have regrets, there's no meaning there. So I do have regrets. I do wish I would have gone to high school. I had the opportunity to go to high school. My mom wanted me to go to high school, but I was so ardently against it. And I think the reason why I was ardently against it was because it's just kind of like fear of the unknown. I wasn't like, and also probably I didn't like authority figures. So it's like me going to class, having to listen to a teacher tell me what to do, blah, 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 would have like pissed me off. So I didn't go to high school, but eventually, yes, 16, 17, 18, I started to realize that I was either going to stay at home all my life, or I was going to be a bum on the street. And neither of those paths appealed to me. So I did end up going to, I went to get my GED, which I weirdly was able to get it and just pass.
Nice.
So I did a little bit of studying, but not much. It's really, the bar's really low, you find out with GEDs.
Well, yeah, I mean, It depends on
My English was terrible though. My writing skills, run-on sentences, through the whole page going down.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I got my GED, and after I got my GED, I started working for. I started working for a company called Benchmark Pools. And it was based out of Berrien Springs, so I did that for a while, kind of while I was getting my GED, and after that, I ended up going to Lake Michigan Community College, and to show you, like, to kind of demonstrate how bad I was at school, they tested me there. Even though I got my GED, they still tested me to see what classes that I could go into, and it was like math 095 or 095, which is below college level because 100 is college level. So below college level math, English 095 below college level. Everything was below college level, and so I started doing that. Started college. I had no clue what I wanted to do or be. I just knew I wanted to make money more than the average person, but I had really no concept of even like what the very little concept of what even like a good wage is, not a good wage is. I just knew that which is the profession I chose, which was radiologic technologist. I knew that they had the highest pay for the lowest degree. So, or, of the possible options, that was like, top 3 or top 4. So I decided to choose that. Well, I first actually decided to do MRI tech.
Oh, okay.
And decided to do MRI tech, but I had to get through my prerequisites to even get into MRI school. And so I started kind of hitting my English, math, all that stuff, and it was a big struggle early on because I'd go to math and they'd be like math class and they'd be like, all right, talking about like square roots and to the power of whatever, and I'd be like, huh? What's that?
What sorcery is this?
I thought, what sorcery is this? I thought we were doing like 2 + 2 here, guys. Like, that's what I'm used to.
Yeah.
And so I think because I was competitive and I probably didn't want to be judged, I did work hard at it. So I was able to pass my classes. Did actually pretty well. I got pretty much all A's. And with the exception of my first English class, I got like a B or B- in that. And I hate it. It was like they'd have you like read a text and then they'd be like, write an essay on what this meant. What did the author mean?
I hate those.
And I would read it and I'd be like, this is what he means. And the teacher was like, no, wrong. And I'm like, how do you know? How do you know that's not what he meant? Did you ask him? Because I'm pretty sure you didn't ask him. And that frustrated me to no end. So I got like a B- in that, and
that's still pretty good.
yeah,
I mean, yeah. What is this?
Yeah, what is this? What does this author mean?
You weren't there.
Yeah, you weren't there. You don't know what he meant. And I actually think not to get sidetracked and kind of go on a what do they call it? Going on like a tangent, but like artists, when they put a song out, oftentimes there'll be interviews and they'll ask the artist, well, what did you mean in this song? And they'll say, I don't want to define it because whatever it means to whoever listens to it, that if it means something to them and it's special to them, I don't want to ruin it.
Oh, that's really cool. That's really cool.
So I feel like it's more subjective. I want to have a debate with my former teachers, is what I'm saying. I don't think they know what they're talking about. I think that there's could be a general consensus on what an author meant, but unless you actually talk to him and he defines what he means, I don't see how an English professor can dictate to me what this author is saying. I feel like that's irrational.
Unless it's using certain very like pretty structured, like wording and everything and the intent is very easy to understand to a certain point.
Yeah, if it's like a reading comprehension problem, like we played golf on a Saturday. What did he mean by that? Well, he meant they went and played golf on a Saturday. Like, that's subjective, I feel like.
I think
But
art that makes sense, but yeah.
But it was, and I'm having a hard time going back and like actually, maybe bringing up a specific instance, but like it was more like ethereal. It was more like, like you'd read a paragraph and be like, well, what was like the main idea in this some I don't know. And it was and I get that there is some objectivity to that. Anyways, maybe I don't know. Maybe my memory blocked that out, and
it could be intuitive to some people, not intuitive to others, to a sense.
Yeah.
But
going back to critical thinking, I felt like there was always, whenever I read a paragraph or a chapter in a book, I always felt like could be 2 or 3 possible meanings.
Yeah, but they only want one. It's, I mean, after a while you do like multiple choice and like there's a certain type of like trickery that they're trying to do just to like prove how intelligent the person is, trying to make the problems are instead of making it about learning.
Right.
And that's what I have a problem with in education. And I get like they're trying to make you smarter, maybe, but I've definitely seen people that there's definitely situations where people just purposely make things difficult for the sake of difficult.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it is just trying to just take your brain and say, put it in a box. Let's make you meet the form. Smack, get in there. And then it's like, then you get out in the world, and now like you're seeing the world through the lens of your teachers.
Yeah, and a lot of them are teachers because the jobs, not all. There's a lot of good teachers, but there are some teachers that you can tell that are just not passionate. They're just doing it because they're not really knowing what else to do.
Yeah.
And it may be that it took away their creative side. Like I heard, you just gave me the guy's book. He's talking about.
Oh, Robert Greene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Laws of Human Nature.
Yeah.
Super good book.
He was talking about something that hit hard. He's like, you can, that creative mindset, that creativity, like children are really creative.
Yeah.
And the way that the school system is, it ends up taking the creativity out of the children and forming them into this.
Yeah.
And it's really hard, especially when you get old. The older you get, like you have to, like there's like processes. I think that's how you say it. Yeah. To be able to help people learn that creative side, because that creative side is fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
And if you stamp that out, that creativity's gone and new ideas are stifled.
Yep.
Anyways.
Yep, agreed. Yeah, so, got through most of my prerequisites, and then I realized that, like, MRI school, I had to, if I wanted to do MRI, that I would have to go down more of the physics route. And I was like, I don't want to do a lot of physics. And so I pivoted toward X-ray, and what I realized there is there's still physics in X-ray. Like I still had to do physics classes, but not nearly as much as MRI. So it was like, to me, it was a lower barrier to entry for me, because I just felt like I didn't want to put in the work to go through. I kind of had a concept of what physics was, and I felt like, I don't want to. I don't want to go through that. For me, it's like, I thought the same way, but I actually wish I would have done physics. Yeah. Because there's so many cool things in physics that, like, it's understanding the world around you, but it's super, like, I get, like, physical objects and everything, but the mathematics behind the actions of those things, like, hurts my brain. You can get it. Yeah. I can get it intuitively, but going through the math ways, like, Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, did you know that, like, okay, so, like, it's a glass of water, it's cold, your hand's hot, and you put it up against the glass of water, and it's like, okay, well, what's going on there? There's heat transfer. You're losing heat in your hand, but why? It's literally the electrons around the atoms are banging into the electrons on the cold part, like if it's cold metal, they're banging, and it actually slows down the electrons.
Yeah, the concepts.
In the atoms in your hand on your skin. And so electrons that are moving slowly.
My water's warmer now.
You're welcome. No, but so as those, so basically slow electrons, cold, fast electrons, hot. So that's what happens is they bang against each other. The cold electrons, the slow electrons end up slowing the fast electrons down in your hand, which makes your hand colder. And then that is sensed and sent, via your nervous system to your brain. It's like, I'm cold. Mm. That's a little physics.
Yeah. What? Man, I am really interested in physics. The effects of it is fascinating. Like, I forget which one it is. It's like, there's this molecule that if whatever it does, this other the twin molecule, it can be any distance, anywhere in the galaxy, and what you do to this one, it happens to that one.
Oh shoot!
Yeah, it's
wow.
Like that was from a physics podcast. But anyways, now we went on another tangent.
Yeah, get back to me. Yeah, so then I went through while kind of working summers and at Benchmark Pools. I would also, I went to school and I basically proceeded on that path of becoming a radiologic technologist. Learned a lot going to school. Probably a lot of stuff that I would have learned in high school, anatomy, like physiology, physical science, a little bit of physics. And that was pretty tough. But yeah, and kind of got through that whole schooling process. And then meanwhile, I was also kind of, sometimes I would work with my brother at Bilko or About Space, which is like cabinets and furniture and that kind of stuff. So that was kind of like, what I did most of the time. So yeah, that was interesting.
That was while you were going through college?
That was while I was going through college. Okay. Yeah.
So you became a radio tech. And
yeah, X-ray tech. It's so there's radiologic technicians, and then there's radiologic technologists. Radiologic technologist is just more like fancy term for X-ray tech.
Okay.
So it's the people that take the X-rays. So that's what I was, and then the radiologic technician is the person that works on the X-ray machines. So I actually could have gone that right. I didn't know that was really an option. I didn't think about it, but yeah.
I think like the people that work on hospital equipment, I know, I think make like really good.
They make pretty decent money. Depends on the machine.
Yeah, depending on the machine. And
yeah. I don't think radiologic technicians make a whole lot relative to X-ray techs. I think it's actually about the same. So you're looking at like $50,000-$60,000.
Okay.
Depending on obviously where you're at in the United States. Obviously, if you're in California, you're going to make a lot more versus Michigan. But
gotcha.
But, yeah.
So you did that for how many years?
So I did that for about 3 years, and it was enjoyable. I mean, it was definitely I think when I was in school, we did clinical, so I would go around and spend, a month at a hospital working with the people there as an intern kind of, and working with other X-ray techs, and they would kind of show me the ropes. And so that was a whole new world for me because, up until, probably, I think I started with X-ray school when I was 19 or 20, because I had a lot of catching up to do with my prerequisites because I had to get rid of go through the kind of high school level classes in college, and then I had to do the college prerequisites, and then I actually had to try to get into the X-ray tech program, and they don't accept everybody, and I think I had to have a 3.5 GPA to get in to the program. And so that was a whole acceptance process that took a little bit, and there's only so many slots, so that took a little bit. But then once I got in the program, it took another probably 2-3 years to finish the program. But yeah, so I did a lot of clinicals, worked in a couple different hospitals, worked at.
So you got a 3.5 to get in there?
To get in there.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yep, get in there.
That's great.
Yep, so, and then...
that's a lot of hard work.
Yeah, it was definitely, I feel like most of my childhood was lackadaisical, just
and then bam!
And I was like, oh, shit. And so, had to actually study and pay attention, and it was also, interacting with... new peer group that's not in the church, and also having to actually do study groups and all this other stuff. That was very intimidating for me. I still to this day hate study groups.
Yeah, no, I don't like
I was just laughing about something.
So when you first get out in the world, you're like, all these heathens.
Right.
So I'm
Horrible.
just kidding.
Horrible people.
No,
The godless, filthy animals.
Yeah.
No.
And then you find out most of them are just different religions, but then your religion has certain biases towards other religions and all that stuff. It's kind of interesting.
It is.
So it actually really affected, for me, it affected how I treated other people. Not treated, but I would limit how close I would get to people or making friends.
Right, because you're they're other. There's something
they're other. Yeah. So I think that's a limiting factor. I think that may just be a fact of how you grew up and stuff, and not the whole this whole religion is like that towards other religions.
Yeah.
I don't believe that, but that's
to give you a perspective on how silly I was when I was probably 15 or so, 14, 15.
That's why you put them down.
Yeah, it is kind of actually. I was like, what's wrong? Where's the other one? No.
They're all dead. Oh yeah, I let all these run out because I'm getting nicotine toothpicks. Because we'll see how that goes.
Yes. But this to kind of show you the perspective I had and the programming I had. I don't think it's necessarily bad, but I'd sit there and be 14, 15, and I'd wrestle with somebody, and maybe they were older, bigger, stronger, and I would go into it thinking, there's no way I'm not going to win because I'm a vegetarian. So I'm automatically I'm Samson. I'm way stronger.
Brainwashing right
Yeah,
there.
dude, there's a lot of delusion there. But I was like, no, there's no way. And then it started happening where probably up until 15, I felt like I won every wrestling match. And I think it's just because I had brothers, So I constantly got the crap beat out of me. And so I was used to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would usually get the upper advantage just because I think I was just crazy. Just competitive,
And I'm afraid for my life.
The other person's like, well, relax. I'm like, no, I'm going to kill you.
I have the killer instinct.
Yeah.
I will win.
I have the tigers.
That's a good motivating factor to just screw this. I know I can do it. Yeah. Sometimes they recharge or for a second, and then you can hit them again. Let's see.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. So just rotate them. Just
Nice.
rotating.
Okay. But yeah, that's kind of how I felt. It was because I felt like being a vegetarian, because this is how my parents taught me, and the church I was in and everything, is that like being a vegetarian is so much superior to someone that eats meat, and like you're basically like sickly if you eat meat. So then in my mind, I'm thinking, dude, I'm a vegetarian. Like, there's no way I'm not winning.
Yeah.
And it probably worked for me in a weird way to where it like gave me an edge because I was like super confident going into any wrestling match. Yeah, like I believed it with my whole heart, you know. And then I started losing, and I was like, "What is going on?
Well,
What is going on? Is it? I'm a vegetarian.
yeah.
Is it because I had soda the other day?"
I mean, so what's really interesting with that whole thing, like nutrition wise, Japanese people used to be pretty short.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know the timelines. I know it was like, I think it was before the Industrial Revolution, like when they were like samurais and everything. Like not samurais. Like those people were freaking awesome, but they like all of a sudden the Japanese population started like getting taller based off of the nutrition they're getting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Well, I think there is something to this, which is like, even not to go off on a weird tangent, but like the way that our meat industry is today. And I have eaten meat, but I still don't eat meat. You eat meat, you partake, but the so if we wrestled right now, I'd totally win. I'm just kidding. But there is a lot of like in meat, there's a lot of like just the way our meat industry is right now, and this is just from what I've heard in my perspective, but there's a lot of growth hormones.
Yeah.
There's a lot of because they're trying to grow cattle at a faster rate so that they can butcher them so that they can turn a profit. So ranchers and stuff are doing this. So then when you kill the cattle and it has all this growth hormone in it, then you eat it and you get growth hormone inside you. So like they showed a rate of how like in early I don't know, puberty is what, like 12 ish.
Yeah.
It's different for women and men, but like they've shown that
9 years old or 8 years
it's
old.
getting younger and younger. Puberty is getting
that.
younger and younger.
Yeah.
And like, some girls are getting their periods at like their first periods at like 10 years old, 9 years old.
Yeah,
which is a little weird. But so I think that might play into factor. I mean, if you have a lot of growth hormone circulating in your body, you probably are going to grow taller to some extent.
Yeah, so there's a lot of issues with eating meat from like factory farm meat. Ethically, it's not done well. Like I really actually, if I eat at like fast food, if I have to eat at fast food, I really avoid meat. I don't like Taco Bell.
Yeah, they're beef.
I don't eat any of their meat. Like I do my best to eat meat from like really from like farms and stuff, and making sure they're not giving them a lot of antibiotics and a lot of like obviously you need antibiotics here and there if you're gonna die. Antibiotics can save your life, but like it destroys your microbiome, like destroys it.
Yeah.
Like I mean, at least from what I've heard with this doctor who did tests with Americans and then natives from South America, their microbiome is our microbiome is half of what their microbiome is.
Yeah.
So
it's wild.
But anyways, well, we went on another tangent again.
I like it though.
Yeah, it's fun.
But yeah, so did that, went through college, graduated, and then I ended up working at MedExpress Urgent Care in Jenison, Michigan, and I did that until I believe it was September, I think, of 2020, and then United Healthcare Group bought them out. So at that point, while there's, I guess I should give a little backstory on this, but I had a situation where, and I'm not going to speak to the whole debate around vaccines, but I did have.
This is your experience.
This is just my experience. So I ended up to get into the program. or actually not to get into the program, but to get into the program, I had to have a lot of my vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
And I, because of the way I was raised, I had never had a vaccine before. So, I had to get my MMR vaccine, I had to get my Hep B vaccine, I had to get Tdap, I didn't have to get my chickenpox vaccine or varicella because I already had chickenpox when I was younger. So I didn't have to get that one, I just got a titer test for that. But then, and that was all fine, I was Gucci, I was good. But then it ended up being like towards the end of the program, I had to get a flu shot for clinicals.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a flu shot, and it ended up putting me in the hospital for about 4 or 5 days, and ended up actually in the burn unit at Bronson in Kalamazoo because my skin was sloughing off. I had all my joints became rigid to where I couldn't walk. I literally was like, when I would walk, it would be super painful, and I would kind of just like an old man, and went through a lot of research and a lot of a lot of specialists looking at me to try to figure out what was possibly going wrong. And I still don't know if it was the vaccine. I'm a very logical person, so I'm not going to sit there and say it was the flu
100%.
vaccine.
Yeah.
But it is weird because I got the flu vaccine, and then the very next day, all these symptoms started progressing. I had a thick red tongue, dry mouth, dry throat. Anyways, what they ended up diagnosing me with was, they ended up actually diagnosing me with 2 or 3 things, and then they kept changing their diagnosis. But the final last diagnosis was Kawasaki syndrome or Kawasaki disease, and that's like it's actually weird because it's a childhood illness that happens predominantly in children of Asian descent. So it's totally weird, totally wild that someone that's not a child and someone that's not of Asian descent is diagnosed with this syndrome, and it ends up being just a autoimmune syndrome or disease, and it's a vasculitis. So it basically all my veins and arteries got super inflamed, and so a lot of the problems with that is like aneurysms. So I had to do multiple CTs of my brain, CT scans of my heart to make sure I didn't have any aneurysms. And I'm actually supposed to still get annual CTs of my heart and brain just to make sure I don't have aneurysms. But my weird outlook on life is that if at some point I do have an aneurysm and I die, then it was meant to be. I really don't care. And that's kind of the way I look at it, because I think there is actually a lot, because I have to get CT with contrast, and I think there's actually some negative, there can be some negative ramifications. There is negative ramifications of getting CT scans annually. Each CT scan is approximate in radiation dose as 1,000 chest X-rays.
Wow.
So it's actually a substantial radiation dose. So looking at that and then looking at the contrast effects that it could have in my body, I have just decided that I'm not going to do that. And so far, so good. I'm still alive, So
With that, it makes me just think about space exploration and how much radiation they're getting exposed to when they're at the space station. That would be,
yes,
I would look that up
Yeah.
just because, like,
just for curiosity.
out of curiosity, and look at the effects that has and see, like, kind of gauge whether or not, like, risk analysis to see if it's, because I think the level of radiation we get is from just going out in the sun. I actually don't want to say, like, I'm not sure on that, but I've heard, like, things that it's actually, like, more significant than things that actually are emitting radiation that you wouldn't think of. It's like, oh, it's got this amount of radiation, so it sounds like a big number and it's scary, but then in reality you're getting more radiation from the sun for some things. But I don't want to go into that because I'd have to look it up.
Yeah, everybody every day is getting cosmic radiation. So whenever you're just walking around, you're getting radiation, and when you take a plane trip, you're actually getting about 1 X-ray, chest X-ray, when you fly.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Everybody's getting radiation, and it's actually the only way that you're not riddled with cancer is your body gets rid of it.
The cells replenish themselves.
Yeah, and they go through what's called apoptosis. It's like programmed cell death. So like if there's like basically radiation, a lot of it is what it's like is it enough? So there's obviously like, well, we don't have to get into all this, but there's the electromagnetic spectrum, and in the electromagnetic spectrum you have everything from light waves to X-rays to ultraviolet, on and on and on. Microwaves, right? Radio waves. They're all different frequencies, and depending on the frequency, depends on how much energy it has. So the reason why X-rays are actually considered dangerous or radiation is because they have enough energy when they hit you to actually go in and dislodge an electron. So so what it can do is it actually can go in, it can dislodge an electron in atoms, and those electrons will shoot off and they'll bang into other atoms, and it can cause basically small little breaks in the DNA in the cell.
Yeah.
And so then the cell gets all crazy and decides we need to just replicate like crazy, and that's where you get cancer.
Gotcha.
So, and the thing that saves us is so those are electrons that are like shot out of the atom and are just like hitting into other things. Those are free radicals. And then you have antioxidants, like when you eat blueberries, you get antioxidants, and they basically will grab those electrons.
Interesting.
Yeah. So,
do they grab them or do they attract them?
they might attract them. I'm
don't
kind
know.
of speaking as like like I haven't thought about this for years.
But it's cool. I mean, you actually you went to school for this. So it's actually really cool.
Yeah. So yeah. So I had a lot of inflammation in my veins and arteries, and it ended up making me horribly sick for a very long time. And actually, I still feel the effects from it. I feel like, that was really, really traumatic for me. And there was multiple times where I had a really severe chest pain, and I still get chest pain from time to time. And I feel like, well, is this it? Am I gonna die today? But that was like a traumatic thing that I went through surrounding the flu vaccine in particular. And so now moving forward to where I was to where United Healthcare Group was buying out MedExpress Urgent Care. At that point, they were trying to make me take the COVID vaccine. And I knew that if I would continue in the medical field, that the chances of me, because you have to re-up a lot of these vaccines. It's not just a one and done, So I think like Tdap, you want to get it every 10 years, unless you have a cut, and then you want to get it sooner, right? So if you get a cut, then you want to. I think it's with
tetanus.
Yeah, tetanus. Tdap is tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis. They combined multiple, like pertussis is like cough, like it's like I think it's whooping cough. I think it's like a childhood illness that children normally get. Although I suppose adults could get it too, but and then so tetanus, diphtheria. I'm actually not sure what the symptoms and stuff are, but they combine three.
Gotcha.
And so they're protecting against three different illnesses. So all these vaccines, you have to re-up them. So like I knew that I would have to do that, and I would have to get annual flu shots and possibly COVID shot. So at that point, I just said, I'm done with the medical field. So then at that point, I got a nice severance package because we were bought out, and I kind of kicked around, going and getting another X-ray tech job. But then ultimately I decided, I kind of want to shift into other things. So yeah.
led you to trucking?
So
But before that, you worked from home doing tech support for a dealership.
Yeah,
Or
I did
automotive?
I did customer service for GM for about a year. So, and that was kind of just a weird thing that I just like decided to do, I think it mainly just because I wanted to work from home and just kind of be a bum, you know.
Yeah.
And so I worked from home for about a year, and that was an interesting experience. Customer service is very like, I think it takes its toll on you emotionally.
Yeah.
Because the way that I think, and this is just my outlook on after doing customer service for a year, the way most companies set up customer service is they essentially have it to where, you know, obviously you're going to have the rare instances where I could actually help, but for the most part, I'm just there to be yelled at.
Yeah.
You know,
That
there's
sucks.
not a lot I can do.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm just going off of the policies that were given to me by the company of what I can and can't do, and most of the things I can't do anything about.
Yeah.
You know,
That sucks.
so it was more of just kind of taking the heat of these people, and it was an interesting experience, and I think it gave me some good like communication skills.
Definitely.
So, but yeah, I did that for about a year, and then after the year, I decided that I needed to make more money, and that kind of is what led me to trucking. A little bit more money. Also, I like the idea of just freedom, being on the open road, and you know, you're not your own boss, but you sort of are your own boss because, you know, you don't have anybody looking over your shoulder. You don't have any of that kind of accessory stuff. You don't have any coworkers. And like for me, it's always been like where I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's because I feel like I've never been working somewhere where I'm super passionate about what I'm doing. But I just feel like customers and coworkers, sometimes it's just a drag. Like they're just a drag emotionally on you. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of tired of people. I'm kind of tired of getting yelled at on the phone with customer service. Like I'm just going to do trucking. I like driving. I love listening to podcasts. Like creme de la creme. Like this is going to be it, you know? And so, yeah, that's kind of what led me to trucking. I've been doing that for about a year. So,
Heck yeah.
so yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think, is there anything else you wanted to say?
Not really. I mean, it's I think so far in life it's been a lot of good experiences, and I'm happy that I've got to experience all I have in life up until this point, professionally and personally, and like I'm enjoying trucking right now, and like listening to podcasts and chilling and
You like them so much that we started one.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But
So
yeah, I'm gonna. I guess we'll wrap this up. But I wanted to say I've noticed like the way that the video is. It's kind of like it's not completely ideal. We'll work on the setup, but we just want to make sure we're getting our podcasts out there.
Yes.
First and foremost,
Yep.
not worrying too much about getting everything perfect. I mean, we in the background we're trying to work on tech stuff. I've tried a couple different things, and so far it's just using his Android and my iPhone just to record these.
Yep.
But hopefully, in the next couple months, when I'm working, get some more capital, and we'll go in and get some more like better cameras, and then maybe have someone come in who's like really good with tech and get it all
lined up,
get it better. And
all buttoned up.
so the next podcast you're going to be interviewing me.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
just so you guys get to know who we are a little bit better, and we're going to try to the next podcast, and we'll see where we go with those, but we'll try to get not like super organized because it's not that much fun, but at least have some talking points and maybe try to do a little bit more research I was just thinking, I'm like, man, I wish we had someone over there just like typing on the computer.
We need a
researching
Jamie,
things.
like
Need a
like
Jamie
Joe Rogan.
Yeah. Yeah. But next time, I think we need to be facing each other, kind of like we did with the red chairs.
Right.
Maybe get rid of this bench and then.
Yeah.
But we'll figure that stuff out
We'll figure
offline.
this
But yeah,
we're gonna look forward to some hard hitting questions by myself towards Jacob.
Oh boy.
It's the title of the podcast is gonna be Patrick confronts Jacob.
Hey, I was easy on you.
True.
But anyways, it's gonna be Christmas for us on Monday. Hopefully, we'll get this out pretty soon.
Yes.
But Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yes. Happy holidays.
Yeah, and we'll wish you a Happy New Year's next week.
Yes. All right.
All right. Have a good one.
Peace.